Good afternoon. We'll call the August 23rd, 2022 meeting of the Mill Creek Township Board of Supervisors to order. Would you please rise for the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Attorney Shaw, I believe we have an agenda amendment.
Yes, we actually have several. So before we get started with the items on the agenda, I actually have 5 agenda items to be added in accordance with Section 712E of the Right to Know law. Under that section, upon a majority vote of the individuals present and voting during the conduct of a meeting, an agency may add a matter of agency business to the agenda. The reasons for the changes to the agenda shall be announced at the meeting before any vote is conducted to make the changes to the agenda. The agency may subsequently take official action on the matter added to the agenda. The agency shall post the amended agenda on the agency's publicly accessible internet website if available, and at the agency's principal office location no later than the first business day following the meeting at which the agenda has changed. The first item to be added to the agenda consists of a quote from Printing Concepts for sending out reminder postcards to delinquent waste accounts. This item came in after the agenda was posted, and based upon the above, I recommend that this item be added to the agenda under item 6 at the end of bids and quotes. The second item consists of amending agenda item number 9 to be a presentation and recommendation for Planning and Development Director Matt Waldinger. I would recommend that this item be added under item number 9 after the presentation of Mr. Waldinger. The third added agenda item consists of adding a new item number 10, a presentation and recommendation from myself regarding a municipal authority, and I would recommend that this item be added as new item number 10. And the last 2 items would be added under Solicitor Communications. One is a letter that is being requested for the supervisors to approve and sign regarding an upcoming Patriot Tour ride, as well, and the other is relates to the Barber National Institute's annual Beast on the Bay. Again, these came in after the agenda was posted, and I would recommend those being added under Solicitor Communications. So I would be looking for a motion to add all of those items to the agenda.
Okay, is there a motion for this agenda amendment?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Is there any public comment on agenda items other than development or rezoning applications? Okay. Move on to approval of the minutes. Any comments or questions from the board on the minutes from the August 9th regular meeting?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
And I'll second that.
Okay. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Moving on to item 5, approval of the bills. Any comments or questions on those?
Make a motion to approve the bills.
I will second that.
Thank you. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Item 6 is bids and quotations. The first item would be a front loader fork attachment for the Public Services and Recycling Department. Ms. Zelina?
Public Services is requesting the purchase of a Rockland heavy-duty forks. The forks are an attachment for the recently purchased John Deere front loader. We received a quote from 5 Star Equipment for $5,890.41. This is a capital budget item. This is also a grant reimbursed purchase.
Thank you. Any comments from the board for Ms. Zelina on this purchase?
Make a motion to approve the purchase of the Rockland fork attachment.
I'll second that.
Okay. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item on the agenda is the Henderson Road Guide Rail for Public Works. Mr. Donikowski?
Thank you. The Streets Department is seeking approval to have guide rail installed in front of the property at 5571 Henderson Road. Green Acres Contracting and Penline Enterprises were contacted for pricing. Green Acres Contracting was the only quote received with a price of $15,560. These funds will be taken from the pipelining line of the Streets Department capital budget, leaving a balance of $184,440. It is my recommendation to have Green Acres Contracting install this guide rail for the price of $15,560.
Okay. Does the board have any comments or questions for Mr. Donikowski on this purchase?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just have a quick question. Mr. Donikowski, is this in the area where the accident was?
Yes, this is
Okay.
directly in front of Skibinski Park.
Skibinski Park?
Yes.
Okay, good. I just want to say thank you for taking such quick action in this area, because there have been quite a few accidents at Skibinski Park, and the video that was released from that Ring doorbell of that vehicle going through there was pretty scary. So the fact that we've been able to work this quickly is pretty great. So thank you so much for getting that done.
You're welcome.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Claire?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is change order number 1, the sidewalk replacement project, Phase 1. Mr. Waldinger?
Thank you. Good evening. In compliance with our upcoming consent decree with Voices for Independence, the township has begun work on non-compliant sidewalks in agreed-upon areas. This year's sidewalks include Berkeley Road from Crescent Drive to West 32nd Street and Crescent Drive from West 26th Street to Berkeley Road. Bids were publicly opened on June 7th, 2022, and Amendola Construction and Maintenance was the low bidder and was awarded the project on June 14th, 2022. They have submitted the attached change order to include 2 handicapped ramps with back walls and front curbs that were needed near West 26th Street and Crescent Drive. The change order is in the amount of $14,000, brings the total contract price to $168,560. Planning and Development does recommend approval of this change order. All funds are being paid through the township's community development block grant funds for this year.
Thank you, Mr. Waldinger. Any comments or questions from the board?
I'll make a motion to approve change order number 1 for the Mill Creek Sidewalk Replacement Phase 1.
And I'll second that.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Claire?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item on the agenda is a leadership training proposal. A proposal has been received from J.L. Nick and Associates to provide leadership development training for Mill Creek Township, which will be performed in September and October of this year. It is the recommendation that the township partner with J.L. Nick and Associates for this training at a cost of $5,668.75. Any comments or questions from the board?
I'll make,
Motion.
motion to approve the JL Nick training.
I'll second.
Thank you. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Claire?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item would be the agenda amendment, waste management. Mr. Shaw?
This would be with respect to printing concepts. Judy, do you want to?
Okay. Under our contract with Waste Management, the township is to send out various notices to customers and owners of properties with past due accounts. This will be the first time the township will be doing that. We obtained a price from Printing Concepts for sending out 3,294 cards for an amount of $671. In addition, we will have the cost of postage, which is 22 cents per postcard, for a total of $724.68. The combined cost is $1,395.68. We recommend approval of this cost. And also, just a friendly reminder to pay your garbage bills in a timely manner to avoid any fines or liens.
Thank you, Ms. Zelina. Is there a motion to approve?
Yes, may I make a quick, may I ask a quick question?
You may.
Ms. Salina, if someone wants to know what they owe Waste Management, what should they do?
They should call Waste Management directly,
Okay.
and active quickest way to get hold of Waste Management would be to call the township at 814-833. call the township at 814-833-1111 and put in extension 140. That
Okay,
will
extension
connect you
140 takes you to Waste
right
Management.
to the dedicated.
And then they can find out what they owe.
Right.
And pay even over the phone or online.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. So please do that. Your bill is coming. Okay. Thank you. And I'll make a motion to approve the printing of the Waste Management reminder.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Mr. Shaw, was there another item or not?
That was all under bids and quotes.
Great. Okay, thank you. Okay. Next up, we'll have a public hearing on subdivision and land development requests. The first one is the Erie Waterworks subdivision, a small subdivision plan for a replot in the unopened portion of West 4th Street between Summerheim Drive and Indiana Drive. Mr. Waldinger.
Yes, thank you. At their regular meeting of Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022, the Mill Creek Township Planning Commission recommended approval of this subdivision with the following requirement: that all of the parcels become integral parts of their adjacent parcels as indicated on the survey map.
Okay, we will open the hearing. Is there someone here from Waterworks to speak on this? Could you please identify yourself? Thank you. Yes, please.
My name is Tim Sennett from North McLaughlin, Rhode Island Senate. I'm here on behalf of Erie Waterworks. This subdivision plan is a straightforward subdivision plan. The abandoned 4th Street. The township has no intention of building a road there. It's adjacent to the Richard S. Wasilewski water treatment plant, owned and operated by Erie Waterworks. We did go back in time and find the family members who dedicated the subdivision, and they have granted a deed to Erie Waterworks. So we are the owner of the entire parcel. We also then met with all the adjacent landowners and had a meeting with all of them and reached an agreement as to what portion of that abandoned road they would like to have as their property, and what portion Erie Waterworks would retain as their property. And so the subdivision map reflects that agreement between all the property owners and Erie Waterworks. And we will include a requirement that the small parcels are integral parts of the deeds, that where we convey that property to each individual property owner to comply with the condition that's set forth by the Planning Commission. Any questions?
The board have any questions for Attorney Sennett?
I don't.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here wishing to speak on this small subdivision plan? Okay, we will close the hearing. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the Erie Waterworks subdivision plan.
And I will second.
Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The next item is the Mill Creek Community Hospital Emergency Department and ICU addition. It's a land development plan. Mr. Waldinger.
Yes, thank you. At their regular meeting of Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022, the Mill Creek Township Planning Commission recommended approval of this land development plan.
Thank you, Mr. Waldinger. Is there someone here to speak on behalf of this land development? Can you state your name and address for the record?
My name is Mike Sanford, 4721 Atlantic Avenue, and I'm the surveyor that prepared the land development plan. The hospital would like to enlarge their emergency room and ICU, and they need a little more building room to do so. So they'd like to build onto the west side of the hospital, the Peach Street side, be a two-story addition. Since the Planning Commission meeting, we did receive our stormwater approval, our NPDES approval, and PennDOT actually issued their permit as well. So I think we have everything in order, and we're just here tonight to look for your approval.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions for Mr. Sanford?
No questions.
No.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sanford.
Thank you.
Anyone here in the audience wishing to speak on this land development plan for Mill Creek Community Hospital? Okay, hearing is closed. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the Mill Creek Community Hospital addition.
And you have a second.
Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is the Erie Starbucks Land Development Plan, a land development plan to show the construction of a 2,554 square foot, one-story eating and drinking establishment with required parking and stormwater management facilities along the south line of Wegmans Drive, east of the intersection of Wegmans Drive and Westridge Road. Mr. Waldinger.
Thank you. At their regular meeting of Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022, the Mill Creek Township Planning Commission recommended approval of this land development plan.
Okay, is there someone here representing Starbucks? You state your name and address for the record, sir?
David Weaver, 6388 Jackson Street, Pittsburgh, PA. It's a subdivision of 4 parcels. One parcel will be developed by another company. One parcel will be a Starbucks, and the remaining parcel will be where the stormwater management pond will go. That pond will then go under the road into the wet pond in front of Wegmans.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I could clarify for one moment, the
Sure.
subdivision is not before you today. It's just the land development plan for the Starbucks building itself at this time.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Waldinger. Does the board have any questions for Mr. Weaver?
No questions.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Weaver. Anyone here in the audience wishing to speak on the land development plan for Starbucks? Okay, this hearing will be closed. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Item 8 is a non-substantial amendment of an approved land development plan for 1359 Marshall Drive. Mr. Waldinger.
Yes, thank you. The owner of 1359 Marshall Drive, Benjamin Leopold, is proposing a 716 square foot addition to the east side of his existing building. In concurrence with recommendation of the township engineer, the Assistant Zoning and Development Officer, Julie Maggio, recommends approval of the non-substantial amendment for this project. This project is below the 10,000 square foot of additional floor and impervious area threshold for a non-substantial amendment of approved land development plan. It will not violate any provisions of the zoning ordinance as presented. In addition, you will see a form signed by Township Engineer Ann Sokol indicating that it does meet all of the requirements under the Subdivision and Land Development Ordinance for a non-substantial amendment. So at this time, I would recommend that the board approve this non-substantial land development amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Waldinger. Any questions or comments from the board?
No questions.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the non-substantial amendment.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Claire?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Item 9 is a presentation on an amendment of the 2018 Comprehensive Plan, Embrace Mill Creek. Mr. Waldinger.
Yes, thank you. In 2016, the township began the process to develop a comprehensive plan. Over the course of the next 2 years, Mill Creek residents were encouraged to participate in online surveys and give their input during open houses, informational meetings, and public hearings. The comprehensive plan was adopted on August 28, 2018, with the title Embrace Mill Creek. There was a strong current that ran through much of that public engagement process that centered around Presque Isle State Park. It became clear that township residents were proud that Mill Creek served as the access point to the state park, that Presque Isle was an important part of Mill Creek's identity, and that the area surrounding such a precious natural wonder, one that draws over 4 million annual visitors, should be invested in and enhanced for the benefit of regional residents and visitors alike. The idea was so often repeated and supported by the community that the creation of a Presque Isle Gateway District was one of the 5 focus areas of the comprehensive plan. Embrace Mill Creek included a detailed series of action steps to help implement the goals proposed in each of the 5 focus areas. One of these action steps was to develop a detailed sub-area plan for the Presque Isle Gateway. In March of 2021, the township hired Ingalls Planning and Design to work with staff and engage with the public to develop the plan. Matt Ingalls, who is the firm's principal, had been a part of the consulting team that produced Embrace Mill Creek, and he was a key part in developing early concepts for this area. His experience and familiarity with the township and the park were a huge benefit to this project. After holding a series of kickoff meetings and discussions with Ingalls Planning, in June of 2021, the township publicized a website with a mapping tool prepared by Ingalls to gather input and ideas from residents on what they'd like to see in the district. Participants were able to submit their input by placing pins in a map representing either an issue, an asset, an opportunity, or a theme idea for the area, and then could provide detailed comments and suggestions which were attached to the pin. This web tool was open through the end of July 2021 and gathered over 270 responses. Using these ideas generated from the public, as well as through meetings with township staff, area stakeholders, and a regional technical advisory committee, the team at Ingalls prepared concepts for the district. These concepts were shared with an internal project team that included the Board of Supervisors and were revised and refined through several meetings during the fall of 2021. At the beginning of February this year, the township again publicized a website dedicated to the project, this time asking for input on the draft concepts that resulted from the initial survey and team meetings. This website was open for comments until the end of February and resulted in over 325 responses. All of us here at the township were encouraged that most comments were positive, and it was often repeated that this area was overdue for investment and improvement. Ingalls staff incorporated the public comments on these draft concepts, as well as final comments from the project team, stakeholders, and advisory committee, and township staff, and presented a draft plan to the township in March. The draft was reviewed internally, and the Ingalls team produced a final version of the plan dated May 2022, which is before you today. Considering that creating a gateway district is one of the focus areas of Embrace Mill Creek, Planning and Development is asking the board to begin the process to amend the township's comprehensive plan to include the Presque Isle Gateway District Plan. This will serve to formally adopt this as the township's plan for the area. Doing so can also be an important component for seeking grant funding. One of the most valuable things you can show on a grant application is that you are working towards implementing a cohesive adopted plan. Additionally, while the township is taking time to amend the plan, this is the perfect opportunity to update the future land use map, which is a component of the comprehensive plan's appendix. The draft future land use plan, also in front of you this evening, represents changes made to land uses while responding to public input received during the adoption of the township's new zoning code in April of this year. Updating the future land use map will ensure that it is consistent with the township's new zoning map. I recommend that the board authorize the Planning and Development Department to begin the process of amending the 2018 comprehensive plan, and I ask that the board take action tonight to refer the amendment to the Mill Creek Township Planning Commission, the Erie County Department of Planning and Community Development, and all adjacent municipalities as required by the Municipalities Planning Code.
Thank you, Mr. Waldinger. I think that also includes school districts, and I think there may be 1 or 2 other public entities that need to receive it, so I would suggest it be, provided to all required, entities.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the comprehensive plan and action as described by Mr. Waldinger?
Motion to approve the amendment to the comprehensive plan.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The next item would be the authority recommendation. Attorney Shaw?
Yes, in conjunction with the review of the Gateway Plan as an amendment of the comprehensive plan, we would recommend that the board approve having the solicitor to begin looking at the formation of a municipal authority, which would assist the board with the tasks contemplated under that plan. Under Pennsylvania law, a municipality can form a municipal authority for a number of reasons, several of which could be relied upon by the township to assist it in redeveloping the Gateway area as well as other areas of the township that need redevelopment. For example, an authority can assist with the formation of a business improvement district, which would include the power to construct sidewalks, parking garages, infrastructure, as well as to acquire and demolish blighted structures. An authority can also be used as a financing tool. An authority has broader condemnation powers than a second-class township has in order to the extent that such exercise would be necessary. An authority is run by a board of directors that has to consist of at least 5 people, and this would give the township the ability to attract people with talents necessary to assist in achieving the goals of the Gateway Plan. At this point, this is simply anticipating the future needs of the township created by this plan, and having the authority in place will make the township more nimble to react quickly to opportunities presented to the township. In order to create an authority, the township will need to hold a hearing which has to be advertised no less than 30 days in advance. Given the schedule, I recommend that the board authorize the publishing of a notice of that hearing. The notice has to be placed both within the Erie Times and the Erie County Legal Journal. I would note that the Erie County Legal Journal has a little bit longer lead time than the Erie Times does. So the goal would be to publish the ad on September 9th, which is before the next board meeting. And in fact, for the Erie County Legal Journal, we would need to publish the ad by September 2nd, or get the ad to them by September 2nd. The hearing then would be scheduled for the board's October 11, 2022 meeting. In the interim, we would draft the authority articles of incorporation and bylaws for the supervisor's review. So I would recommend ultimately a motion authorizing McDonald Illig to begin preparing papers to form an authority and to further authorize the publishing of the ads necessary for the public hearing required under the law.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board?
No, I'll make a motion to approve the presentation given by Attorney Shaw.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is Resolution 2022-R37, resolution pursuant to Resolution 2015-R20 and the Municipal Records Manual to approve proposed disposition of certain township records this month. It is MPD dash cam videos to be deleted between August 24th and September 13th of this year due to reaching the end of their required retention period. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is Resolution 2022-R38, a resolution to rescind the Mill Creek Township procedures for probable or confirmed COVID-19 cases. Mr. Shaw?
Yes. Currently, the township has in place a COVID policy entitled Mill Creek Township Procedures for Probable or Confirmed COVID-19 Cases. That was originally instituted shortly after COVID hit, and the township staff and so forth came back into the office. It has been amended a number of times over the last 2 years or so, adjusting to the various CDC requirements. Most recently, the CDC issued a revised policy that, frankly, substantially watered down the COVID requirements. And at this time, it would be the recommendation that the township's COVID policy be eliminated. Most people seem to be exercising good judgment regarding COVID, given that we're now in year 2, and the draconian measures for failing to follow the policy don't appear to be warranted any longer. So the recommendation would be to eliminate the COVID policy at this time by passing Resolution 2022-R38.
Any comments or questions from the board?
No questions.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion for approval of this resolution.
And I will second.
Okay. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Resolution 2022 R39, Traffic Signal Technologies Grant Application. Mr. Shaw?
Yes, the township and Summit Township are joining forces to address signaling on Upper Peach Street by jointly submitting a traffic signal technologies grant. This resolution authorizes and recognizes the parties' agreement to pursue this grant jointly as provided for under the law, and we would recommend approving this resolution and the execution of the grant agreement, as well as any other documents that may be necessary to apply for this grant.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the Resolution 2022 R39.
I'll second that.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is a sidewalk deferral request for 6039 Schultz Road, Kevin P. and Carol A. Devine, developer. Mr. Waldinger?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I go on with the subdivision or the sidewalk deferral, if I could go back to the comprehensive plan amendment for one moment. I forgot to add that the amendment and the draft of the future land use, or I'm sorry, not the amendment, but the gateway plan and the draft of the future land use plan will be placed on the website tomorrow. We will be sharing that link. I'll be working with Samuel Peterson, the township's new communication coordinator, to get a news release out so that people can find it on our website, and it will be available for the public. I forgot to mention that. I apologize.
Thank you, Matt.
Yep. But on to the sidewalk deferral. Yes, as you mentioned, Kevin and Carol Devine would like to build a residence at 6039 Schultz Road. They are asking for a deferral for the requirement to construct sidewalks. As it currently exists, there are no sidewalks on Schultz Road. As you know, the township does have a process where you can request a deferral. It does not mean that you are forgiven from constructing the sidewalks. It just means it would be deferred to a future time when it would make sense if the adjacent properties ever developed and sidewalks were constructed. So at this time, because of the location, we would recommend that the deferral for 6039 Schultz Road sidewalk be granted.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the board? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
I'll second, Dan.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is the Humane Society Agreement. Ms. Caparosa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The township has a long-standing relationship with the Erie County Humane Society. This agreement simply updates the township's prior agreement with the Humane Society and sets forth a new contract price of $6,000. The Humane Society will continue to provide the same services offered under the prior contract, including housing stray cats and dogs and providing township officers with 24-hour access to drop off animals.
Okay. Are there any questions for Ms. Caparosa on this item? Is there a motion to approve the agreement with the Humane Society?
Motion to approve the updated agreement with the Humane Society?
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is the Erie Golf Course Agreement Amendment. Mr. Shaw?
Yes, Mill Creek Township and the operator hired to manage and maintain the Erie Golf Club have been in a dispute regarding the extent of responsibilities between the township and the operator with respect to the condition and maintenance of the irrigation system at the golf course, as well as other issues relating to the golf course and its maintenance and operation. The parties have worked hard together in order to resolve these differences, and before the board is an amendment to the management and maintenance agreement that was originally entered into between the parties that resolves these disputes between the parties. And so I would recommend that the board approve this amendment and authorize the chair to execute it.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions from the board on this agreement?
Motion to approve the Erie Golf Course Agreement Amendment?
I'll second that.
Okay. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Moving on to communications, Mr. Zakshewski, anything to add there?
Just to note that the auditors will be making a presentation at the next public meeting on the financial audit for 2021. But just a little highlight, they came in with a unqualified opinion, which is top-notch, and we also had no issues with the single audit that's required for the ARPA monies that we received.
Thank you. We have some promotions to announce. First one would be Public Works Streets Department. Mr. Donikowski.
Thank you. The Streets Department would like to promote Frank Molina to a Streets Maintenance Foreman. We would like to have start date retroactively starting yesterday. That would be August 22nd. Frank has been employed in the Mill Creek Streets Maintenance Department since July of 2014, and he has had previous experience from Washington Township, and he would start at a rate of $33 per hour.
Thank you, Mr. Donikowski. Any comments or questions from the board?
No, I would like to say, though, congratulations to Mr. Frank Molina. And I know that this is well-deserved, so very happy for him and for us.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. More promotions. Mill Creek Police Department. Mrs. Clear?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The police chief, Scott Height, is looking for the approval of a promotion of Sergeant Anthony Chimera to lieutenant. Mr. Chimera will remain assigned to the patrol division in the 3rd Platoon. There is also the approval for the promotion of Patrolman Matthew Schollenberger to corporal. Schollenberger will remain assigned to the patrol division traffic section.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the promotion of Sergeant Chimera and Patrolman Schollenberger.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Block, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes,
And I vote yes.
and congratulations to both of them as well.
Next on to hiring requests. First one would be for the Planning and Development Department. Mr. Waldinger, would you like to handle this one?
Sure, I can. Yes, this is to fill the position that was vacated when Emma George left the township. Today, we would like to have a request to hire an environmental and stormwater programs manager to replace Emma. We would like to hire Gene Clement to that position. His hire date would be 9/12 of 2022. The salary would be $68,000 a year. Gene is coming to us with over 20 years of experience with the Erie County Conservation District. He has a BA in environmental science or environmental studies and geography with a minor in geology, and he also has a BS in nursing. So we're happy that Gene is willing to join us, and we'd like a request to hire him, please.
Thank you, Mr. Waldinger.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I've personally worked with Mr. Clement for many, many years, and this is a great, great hire for the township. Yeah. Really is.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Is there a motion to approve the hiring of Mr. Clement?
Motion to approve the hiring of Mr. Clement.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is a hire in the Police Department. Mrs. Clear?
I have the, up next, I have the crossing guard?
Yeah.
Okay,
Is it the
sorry.
cro- Yeah,
This
it's
is
out
the,
of order.
oh, is
Oh,
it the
is it?
crossing guard?
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
It is.
Oh, it is.
Okay.
Okay. I apologize. This is a request coming to us to hire a crossing guard. The recommendation is for Riley Kozowski, and the hire date would be 8/29 of 22 at a salary of $25 per hour. Riley will be the crossing guard at Our Lady of Peace School. She will work a half hour in the morning and a half hour in the afternoon during the school year. Thank you to Riley. Make a motion to approve her hiring.
I'll second that.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. We have two hires in Public Works Streets Department. Mr. Donikowski?
Thank you. We're requesting approval of two new hires. The first being James Castleberry as a streets maintenance laborer. He would have a start date of 8/24/22 at a rate of $20.38 per hour. James was employed as a trailer mechanic and driver. He has a Class A CDL and laboring experience. Previously, he worked for the city of Ithaca in the water and sewer department. The second employee would be Anthony Siciliano, also as a streets maintenance laborer. He would have a date of hire of 8/29/22 at a rate of $20.38 per hour. Anthony is currently employed as a heavy equipment operator and laborer. He has a Class A CDL. Anthony has laboring, welding, and masonry experience in his prior positions.
Thank you, Mr. Donikowski. Any comments from the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2 new hires in the streets maintenance laborer department.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item would be hiring request for Parks and Recreation Department. Ms. Marsteller?
Hello, thank you. The listed employees and volunteers are being requested to be approved for the fall 2022 season. There are approximately 25 employees and volunteers listed, ranging in pay from $11.50 to $15 an hour. These employees are essential to carrying out the fall recreational programs and offerings of the Parks and Recreation Department. The part-time employee wages are accounted for in the Park and Recreation Department's operational budget and are based off of the 2022 part-time wage scale as previously approved by the board. It's my recommendation to retain the listed employees for the fall 2022 season.
Okay, is there a motion to approve those hires?
Motion to approve the Park and Recs hires.
I'll second that.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask Ms. Marsteller a quick question? If I want to find out all about if I want to find out about all the programs being offered by Mill Creek Parks and Rec for the fall season, where do I go?
You can look inside your quarterly in Mill Creek Magazine. We have
In Mill Creek Magazine.
That's correct, yep. And it's also on our township website on the Parks and Recreation Department page as well.
Okay, so if I want to take Tai Chi or painting, I can go there.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Okay, moving on to training and travel requests, planning and development, engineering. There are 3 requests. Mr. Waldinger.
Yes, thank you. There are 3 requests. The first is for myself for the 2022 conference of the PA chapter of the American Planning Association. It's being held October 2nd through 4th at the Marriott Lancaster at Penn Square in Lancaster, PA. I'm seeking permission to attend, and I will be driving my own vehicle to the conference. My conference attendance is a budgeted expense in the planning and development training and travel budgets. The conference does have an early bird registration price for members prior to September 6th, so I would register at the early bird rate of $390, which is payable from the training budget. The remaining costs of $1,079 for lodging, per diem, and mileage will be payable from the travel budget. Per diem is calculated at the lower proportional meals rate as lunch is provided with conference registration. So I'd ask for approval to attend, please.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the request that Matt Waldinger attend the conference.
I'll second that.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Okay, the next is for engineer John Sebesta to attend a PA 811 Fall Safety Day on September 20th, 2022. It's being held from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Bayfront Convention Center here in Erie. There is no cost to register, and there will be no reimbursement necessary for transportation, as Mr. Sebesta will report there for the day. So we'd like to request permission for him to attend this conference at no cost.
Very good. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
And then finally, also for John Sebesta, project engineer, Pennsylvania Society of, PSATS is hosting their 2022 Fall Engineers Virtual Seminar Thursday, October 27th from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. The seminar will earn Mr. Sebesta 6 professional development hours towards retaining his engineer's license. The registration fee is $95 per member, and it will come out of the planning and development training budget. So I would like to request permission for Mr. Sebesta to attend this virtual seminar at the cost of $95.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Claire?
Yes.
And I vote yes. We have 2 training requests for the police department. Mrs. Claire?
Chief Scott Height has a recommendation for approval of 1 officer to attend the 2022 Great Lakes Leadership Seminar in Niagara Falls, New York, on October 2nd through October 7th. Travel will be by department vehicle.
Okay. Are there any costs associated?
Oh, I am so sorry. The per diem is $396.75. Fuel and tolls, $30, for a total of $426.75.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Claire?
Yes.
And I vote yes. And one more training request?
Do I not have that one? Oh, I skipped over the other one. I apologize. I don't see that one on here. I apologize. The next one actually is from also from Chief Scott Height for a total of $1,125.50. Approval for 2 officers to attend emergency vehicle operations course instructor training on October 3rd through October 7th at the Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Travel will be by department vehicle. The tuition cost will be paid by the Merciers Police Academy. Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Claire?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item would be the Cato picnic request. This is for 1 additional attendee at a cost of $17.50. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Claire?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Executive sessions were held on August 11th and the 18th to discuss various legal issues. Moving on to Solicitor Communications, Attorney Shaw.
Yes, I have 3 items here today. First relates to an invoice received by the township from the Prairie Highway Hose Company attempting to charge the township for ambulance runs that Prairie Highway Hose Company has made into Mill Creek Township, I think for the month of July of 2022. These ambulance runs involve the Prairie Highway Hose sending an ambulance into the boundaries of Mill Creek Township. It was not anything requested by the township and may not even have involved a Mill Creek residence. Further, there is no contract between the township and Prairie Highway Hose obligating the township to make any payments to Prairie Highway Hose for this occurrence, nor does it appear that compensation is required under any state or federal law. This is the first time we've received such an invoice. As we all know, there are many struggles that both EMS services and fire services are having in terms of financial obligations, but unfortunately neither the state nor the county have stepped forward to address situations like this that not only does entities like Prairie Highway deal with, but also MPS deals with these, where they get called into other jurisdictions and under state law they have to respond. But at this point there's no universal agreement on how to deal with those situations. So at this time my recommendation would be to authorize me to respond to this letter declining to pay for these invoices. I would need a motion.
Okay. Is there a motion to,
The motion would be to authorize me to respond to this letter and declining to pay the invoices.
all right, is there a motion authorizing Attorney Shaw to respond to this letter?
Motion to approve Attorney Shaw to respond.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Claire?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
The next 2 items of correspondence are the ones that were added to the agenda. The first one involves a letter that needs to be approved and executed by the township relating to the Beast on the Bay on September 10, 2022, for which the township fire departments and MPS will be assisting. The second letter is a letter that needs to be approved and executed by the township relating to the Patriot Ride Tour that is scheduled for September 17th of 2022. I would recommend that the township approves and authorize the chairman to execute these two letters.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve these two events as described by Attorney Shaw?
Motion to approve the two events.
I'll second that.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Is that it, Mr.
That's
Shaw?
all I have.
Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to citizens to be heard. First, I'd like to make a statement. So prior to accepting comments for today's meeting, I want to establish some ground rules. First, we believe there are several issues that will be commented on during this meeting, and we'd like to take them in order. We realize there are people here to speak regarding the actions of the township's animal enforcement officer, so we will start with this group. So here are the rules under which this public comment period will be governed. Under our meeting rules, an individual has up to 5 minutes of time to speak. In addition, each speaker must identify themselves and provide their address for public comment. We do have a ledger up there at the podium that we'd like you to fill out. We ask that the speakers be respectful and succinct. We also ask that your comments not be the same as the person who have gone before you. In addition, given the number of people intending to speak, we ask that the speakers be limited to the residents and taxpayers of Mill Creek Township. We will allocate a total time period of 20 minutes for the comments on this issue. We also ask that if you spoke at the last meeting, that you only speak at this meeting with anything new or different to add. The township meetings are recorded, and we have a record of what was said at the last meeting. In addition, before we get to your comments, the board wants you to understand that the incident continues to be reviewed and evaluated by the township. We understand that the speed of our investigation may not be to some people's liking, but we take our responsibility seriously and want to make sure that our investigation is thorough and complete. You also must understand that the animal enforcement officer is a member of a union and as such is accorded certain rights and protections under the union contract that also impact the speed of any investigation and decision. Okay, we will go ahead and open the floor to
Gerald Cervidio, 1720 West Gore Road, Erie, PA, Mill Creek Township. I remember back, I'm 69 going on 70, when Mill Creek was a rural area, farm area. Dogs and cats, they were off the leash. Then further down the road, dogs all of a sudden became on the leash. Cats are still free to roam. I listened to this out in the hall last time I was here. I listened to all these people talk and eviscerate this man and take him to task over what he did. But anybody who had interaction with this cat, and I was as guilty as anybody else about having cats and letting them run around when I was younger. Any one of those people that had interaction with this cat is just as guilty of anything they accuse this man of. Oh, you can laugh, you booed, you did everything else, you know? You heard what he said, you can't react to it. I didn't react to you people, you know? A little facts on your cats. This was from 2013, girls, cats, men. Cats kill more than 1 billion birds a year. And this was from 2013, so imagine how many more cats there are, how many more birds get killed. Feral cats, or cats outside, how many? Go back and do your little studies there. 1.3 to 4 billion cats a year. I mean birds or animals, mammals, rabbits. You know, I don't care about local numbers. You aren't even realizing anything. I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to them. Okay? I just ask for you guys to consider, maybe we ought to have a leash law for cats. Maybe these people should take some responsibility, keep their cats inside, or put them out on a leash. And the people that were interacting with this cat, one of them should have claimed them, kept them in the house, and not let them run around the neighborhood. I'm as guilty as anybody else. Again, I'll tell you that. I'm as guilty of anybody else of letting animals run around and be off leash. But these people are no better than he is. To accuse them and punish them and eviscerate them. I'm sorry.
Please.
I thank you for your time, and, I just ask you to consider facts. Emotions were running high, still are. And this man has training. He carries a firearm, so I imagine he has Act 120. You can't train stupidity and speaking out when somebody else is too. How's that? How's that? So thank you. You only got 20 minutes. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sandy Traphagen. I'm from Fairview. However, I was born in Mill Creek, and when we started Orphan Angels, we started it in Mill Creek. Anybody who knows me knows that I have extensive experience with animals in general. However, cats are my #1 animal. I want to thank, first of all, anybody who's here to find justice for Berkeley. We greatly appreciate your support. Permit me, please, to share a story. For many years, I taught severely emotionally disturbed middle school students. I witnessed countless episodes of inappropriate behaviors, severely inappropriate behaviors. Always, I had animals in my classroom as part of an emotional support program. I had rabbits, rats, and a tank of lizards. My children benefited greatly. They learned how to demonstrate compassion and show respect to animals. Unfortunately, 2 of my students killed the lizards by shoving a pencil down their throats and snapping their necks. This horrified the rest of the class. The 2 boys, however, experienced no remorse, none. What type of child kills an animal and feels no remorse? The type who grows into an animal abuser. The type who should not be permitted to work with animals at all ever. Unfortunately, the animal control officer was hired in that position. I feel that was an egregious error with tragic consequences. Mahatma Gandhi was quoted as saying, "The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated." I ask you all to please do the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
Hello, my name is Tyler Nowoshelski. I'm a resident of the City of Erie at 2917 Washington Avenue. On behalf of myself, Erie Animal Network, the Erie Humane Society, the Anna Shelter, and Orphan Angels Cat Sanctuary, we are grateful the township is taking our concerns seriously and investigating Animal Control Officer Richard Donald Lyle over the horrendous actions he took the afternoon of July 29th, 2022, using a catch pole to choke the life out of Berkeley, who was a healthy and sweet-natured cat, killing Berkeley over disease concerns that were decided by ACO Rich Lyle in under a minute, and disposing of his, quote, disease-ridden body in an unlawful and undetermined location. We will not stop our efforts in seeking justice for Berkeley and demand that Mill Creek Township hold themselves accountable and terminate ACO Rich Lyle immediately. We hope when hiring a new animal control officer that you take our advice and train them correctly, that you choose someone who is compassionate about animals. We are blessed in the City of Erie to have Animal Enforcement Officer Gary Richter. Gary shows empathy towards animals and actually helps reunite lost pets according to the laws and ordinances set forth by governmental bodies. Gary Richter is someone who possesses the qualities we had hoped Mill Creek Township assessed before hiring Rich Lyle. The outcome of this investigation will tell us a great deal about what Mill Creek Township knew prior to this incident, how ACO Rich Lyle was held accountable for his actions, and what township procedures were in place before, during, and after this incident. This investigation is in your hands. Please do the right thing. We will all be watching. Thank you.
Good evening. Here we good? My name is Mary Grace. I am a resident of Erie City, but I work in Mill Creek at 5439 Westlake Road at Orphan Angels. I know that this is not, this is more of a statement, but I do have a lot of questions for you guys. And since our last meeting, I don't know about the other shelters, but we are being slammed with concerns of what to do because I believe police officers are not picking up animals as in the last couple of weeks. I don't know if that is a set thing for right now, but it would be nice to have some communication about what the plan is for right now since we do not have somebody in that position. Since that last meeting, Orphan Angels, within 24 hours, not doing any intakes right now, we had multiple animals abandoned just because I think there's a concern that nobody is there to respond to those calls, and if they do, there's a concern of what's going to happen to those animals. So we have had increased in issues with abandoned animals within our shelter. And so I would like to have communication about what are we doing right now for these animals that are out there that need the help. And I am really excited that now we have our contract with the Humane Society. And is that in effect? When will that be in effect? You know, those types of things. And I think that will help. But I think we also need to all understand that the cat population is insane and we cannot keep up. And I think as a community, we all need to work together to do this. I think that spaying and neutering is the only way to cut down on the overpopulation that is going to accumulate over time. And I think maybe if we can all work together and get some grants going or something so that we can do some spaying and neutering, cut down on the overpopulation, and prevent this number from rising. Every year it rises. And then I just, I guess that's it. But I do honestly think that this is a community issue. I understand that we are all guilty of feeding strays. The alternative is to not feed them. So they're out there and they exist. We just ask that they are not viewed as a nuisance, even though they may be at times, but we also ask that they not be murdered for not doing anything wrong. And that's all I got. Sorry.
Hello, my name is Jeff Corkland. I live at 3228 Post Avenue in Erie. First of all, just in response to the first gentleman that was up here, if we were to give you the benefit of the doubt that everything you said was true about, you know, the cats killing birds or whatever, it still does not excuse what this guy did, nor should this cat's life had ended that way. I mean, if you imagine the last 10 minutes of that cat's life, the way he was removed from the house on a choke, on a pole, taken somewhere and shot and then thrown in a dumpster, he must have thought he'd went to hell and met the devil. That's the only way I can describe it. But anyway, enough about that. I own both dogs and cats. I take my dogs to Scott Park quite often, and I have had contact with your animal control officer before. Not this one, but the previous one. I think his name was Tim. Seemed like a pretty decent guy. This fellow, this Rich Lyle, I have never had contact with, and I don't really think I do. I saw parts of the meeting last week where they talked about, better training. Do I need to get a...
Yeah, just step a little bit further away from the mic.
Okay. They talked about better training, and Ms. Clear, I think I saw a couple of interviews with you where you talked about more training. But when I think about it, the only training that you need not to do what he did to that cat is just to be a good and decent human being. That's it. And if you have to train this man to be a good and decent human being, you've got the wrong guy for the job. I believe if he is left in the position he's in, he's not only a danger to animals, he's a danger to this community. In closing, I would like to say that I think the police department, this township, and this community needs to distance itself as far away from Rich Lyle as it possibly can. Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to address the board on the cat issue?
Patty Schoening. I'm a Mill Creek taxpayer, live on Mill Creek, Millfair Road. Mary Grace was talking. Pardon me? Okay. I don't believe you answered her question. I called the other day for some dead animals on the Lake Road. And when I called, they said, well, their animal control person was on leave. And he'd see what he could do, but the animals are still there. It's a dead raccoon and some other animals. But you didn't answer her question, is what are you doing in the meantime while this man is on leave? What are you doing about picking up dead animals on the road, or so maybe an animal that's causing a problem to somebody? What is the township doing?
Ma'am, typically this is a public comment period, which means you make comments, not necessarily that the board responds, but
We can't ask a question
you can ask questions, but they're better addressed, I think,
it's
privately.
a general question. I just want to know.
Yeah, I think, as I understand it, it's my understanding that the police officers are still responding.
Oh, they are.
If you were told otherwise, maybe we need to, contact the dispatchers and make sure they understand.
The
but
animals are still there. And before I moved here 10 years ago, I volunteered at the Washington Area Humane Society for 30 years. I served on the board of directors. I worked with all the employees. I talked to our humane agent. She's still there. She had never, ever seen a case where anything like this has ever happened, where a cat was taken on a pole, or animal was just gone out and outrightly shot. All stray animals were brought to our shelter or to the police department where animal control had a place. The girl that did animal control there was so kind, she even built extra kennels for the dogs that she took in so she wouldn't have to bring them all to us. Because at that time, we were still doing some euthanasia, so we were trying to save as many as we could. But this to me, is, and everybody here, this is just outright murder. And I think you need to let somebody know what's going on with this investigation so we feel there's some hope here. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Chris Blackman. I live at 3028 Court Avenue. And just about anybody involved in animals here knows me and my reputation. Right now, I guess I want to comment to that gentleman and to you. Right now, I have a colony that I'm trying to clean up from Mill Creek that I've invested all my own money on. And the Humane Society has been absolutely wonderful helping me out. And my thinking is if I get them fixed and all that before they go to the shelter, then they'll be more adoptable faster. But people don't realize, and like this gentleman there, When you have a kitten running around your legs at peak and peak, do you just walk away from it? When I walked into a colony helping my cousin look for his cat, and I see all these kittens running around and mothers, right now I'm down to 3 mothers to be fixed, and I can't get, everybody's so booked up trying to get them fixed. I don't know what I'm going to do because they're about to have kittens again. And I lost 8 kittens this season, which I've never had to, from lice and Panluke. But the point is that some of us are trying to clean up this kitten population. Anybody here knows how many years I've done that, my whole family. But you need help, because when you're paying $200, $300 to fix the animal because everybody else is so booked at the low clinics, I mean, that's a lot of money. And, you know, right now with the money for food and all that, everything is just sky high. So we do need help, and some of us are trying to help the situation. A lot of us here. Okay? Thank you.
We have time for one more if there's another person that would like to address the board.
I'm Holly Schwab from Erie. Can you read? Holly Schwab from Erie, PA, 1424 East 9th Street. I'm near the Anna Shelter, actually. I was disgusted over what happened with Berkeley. I saw the pictures. He was on a noose around his neck, hanging. I can only imagine if that were my pet that escaped from my house, which I would be looking still for. And then I found out that was his demise, because he wasn't checked for a chip, he wasn't taken to the Humane Society, he wasn't anything. The gentleman that spoke in the beginning of his hatred towards cats, well, my dog kills birds. I can't stop him from doing that. He does it in my own yard. But what I would like to speak to is the humane way that I have just last week, 7 cats removed from a home in Erie without a noose, without being shot. They took them out in nets. The cats were very comfortable and very calm. If this officer saw this cat hissing and growling and everything else, well, I think he would do the same if a noose was around his neck and he was dangling. And I would just want to thank all of the people here that I know have a lot to do with saving these cats, taking them, and a lot of times at their own expense, getting them spayed, neutered, and taken to a barn or wherever they can be, you know, happy and healthy and taken care of. But the main thing is trap, neuter, return. This cat was healthy. There were no maggots in his ears. I doubt he had fleas. It was a very clean cat. We all saw the pictures, as I'm sure you did, of an up-close picture of that cat. If it had maggots in his ears, you would see them. You wouldn't miss that. And again, I would just like to thank all of the people here that work so hard and tirelessly at a very sad job to save these cats and to prevent more. We are trying to prevent more. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Schwab, I don't know if you signed the ledger. Would you sign the ledger? Thank you. You'll be it, or whoever. Is it you or?
Like a different issue.
Okay. Yeah, you'll be last on this topic. Okay.
My name is Jericho Consul. I reside at 2413 Chestnut Street in Erie, PA. I would like to speak on behalf of Orphan Angels as a volunteer. Something that we really haven't touched on much is the logistical aspect of this. We talk about how, we're tired and we're overworked and there's, this huge cat population. We need more resources, not less. And when someone's doing something like this, people aren't going to turn to that resource because they don't feel comfortable with that. So if anything, it's not solving the problem. I'm thankful for the shelters that we have now and that these cats can be considered marked safe from Rich Lyle. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you. We do appreciate your comments. Those that are here regarding the topic about the animal enforcement officer, you're free to go ahead and leave. And we have other people here to address the board on other matters, so thank you. Okay, ma'am, would you state your name and address for the record?
My name is Mary Ann McDaniels-Palessa, and I was here approximately a year and 3 weeks ago when my attendant and I decided from Cedar Mill Apartments, which is where I reside, which is 250 yards from Bell Valley. We thought it was a beautiful day. We would go check out the Bell Valley pool. I had a 12-year absence from Erie because I was receiving medical treatment in Philadelphia for an auto accident. I was injured by the handicap chairlift that, in my opinion, was improperly installed. It lifted up out of the concrete, the bolts sheared off at the base, and attempted to come on top of me. That was kind of the beginning of the nightmare, because then I kept pleading to be removed from the pool and asked that they call Bell Valley Fire Department if they weren't going to remove me. I would like to identify 6 bad actors who I don't believe you ever reprimanded, ever took any pay from, or never did anything to investigate, nor do I believe you ever looked at the camera that was a security camera going 360 around the pool area. The lifeguard supervisor, Kristen, Mill Creek paramedic named Matt. All these are only first names named to me. You have never given me the privilege of knowing who these people were. Refused to call the Bell Valley Fire Department. But then Paul, the Parks and Recreational Director staff, wrestled away a backboard that I instructed the spinal cord for my employee to get from the wall to try and get me out of the pool. The last photo shows bruises of Mr. Recca. The other one shows my black eye. Can you imagine 2 senior citizens, one in their 70s and one close to 75, being treated this way? It was just unbelievable. All 6 of these people, including 7 which I would call junior lifeguards, who were probably more traumatized than I was over this event. 2 of them were in tears. One of them tried to give me money. I just want to know what happened to the tape. Did you ever bother to look at it? Did you ever bother to see what we were talking about? I didn't expect a card or flowers, but I certainly expected you to want to see what was going on with your staff. We elect you. You're the head. We want to know that you're looking at what's going on with some of your employees. Ms. Claire, in fairness to you, you weren't here yet. Last time I saw you, we voted for you at Bell Valley Fire Department. I'm glad you're sitting there.
I don't know if the objective that day was to be cruel. It seems lately with the political environment we have, nobody can be cruel enough, nobody can be nasty enough. The comments that I was hearing as I hung on to the corner at the edge of the pool, my feet could not touch the ground, were, oh, she's just some fat chick from the projects. City of Erie has a housing zoning area where there are a lot of ethnic minorities. The other thing I kept hearing was, she gets tired enough, she'll get herself out of the pool. The erratic bouncing on the pool wall by malfunctioning at the chairlift further finished off my spinal cord. I will now require extensive surgery in my right upper arm. And I would like to thank, I also have night terrors at night about this, because at one point when the paramedic arrived, the police officer, female, blonde hair, she came over and said to me, "You need to calm down." I said, "I've already been hanging here for an hour and 15 minutes. I'm thinking to myself, are you kidding me?" And then she put her hand on her gun and looked at the male gentleman that was with me. I waited weeks to hear from the township. I began calling for the township in November to see why I was not receiving your insurance information. Finally, Ms. Williams, still thank you, came to my rescue, connected me with Mark Zakasis, your financial officer. I now am surpassing over $40,000, mostly gas and out of pocket for myself and my driver. I received Sedgwick's claim information. I am on my 4th agent from Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida. Nobody's helping me. The last phone call I got said to me, I think they thought it was McDonald Illick, which by the way was my former legal counsel for 7 years until the date of the incident. I got this real snarky letter telling me that don't call, don't come by, your legal services are now done. The last phone call I got from Cedric was, and I think they thought I was McDonald Illick, nothing is happening with this claim so far. She has to be getting pretty frustrated by now, I'm sure. I responded really sad and startled. I will be sure and pass that information along. Thanks. I believe the township is now being dragged into even more liability with a lack of good faith in resolving this matter. It appears that after this call by your own legal counsel, McDonald Illick, the worst of the out-of-pocket costs for me have been gas, the doctor appointments, physical therapy for over a year, in Northeast twice a week, multiple MRIs, and a trip to Philadelphia where I had reconstructive throat surgery, spent 8 weeks in a coma, and had 11 broken bones from an auto accident. Again, I ended up with a black eye, and my attendant, my hero, who tried to protect me, ended up with a lot of bruises that took weeks to heal, mostly on his arms, to try to protect me in my head. Again, I'm in the pool. The gentleman above us is 6 feet tall. We're basically eyeball with his work boots. So I think, believe me, 2 senior citizens traumatized, scared, and not a good feeling about Mill Creek employees. And this for me is 7 and 8, given Mr. Lyle that we've all talked about. I deserve the same respect as the other folks go. I want to know whose last names of these people were, and I want to know what you've done to somehow turn the tide on what I see. I hope it's not becoming pervasive bad behavior. Thank you. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Ma'am, please come up. State your name and address for the record.
Erica McAllister, 1415 Hillborn Avenue. I've lived in Mill Creek over 20 years. I'm being discriminated. I'm being bullied by your police officers. Last week, I was getting ready to go to a cancer doctor. I got a knock on my door. There's 5 officers with guns on their side. They accused me of saying, your neighbor said you said something. Then they're all yelling at me, screaming at me, and my son witnessed it all. And then they wanted my biracial son to come outside after he talked to them and said my mom was in the house. She was getting ready for her appointment. I don't know what you're talking about. And they wanted to come outside. He got nervous because today the police shoot black people to kill them. And he stayed in. And next thing I know, I got 2 citations in the mail. I'm being harassed by my neighbor. He watches me. I had 2 cameras on my bedroom. I went to Mrs. Clear. I filed complaints with you. You did not send them to the district justice. You did not send, the district justice said you didn't send them there. So the DA didn't get them. Why didn't you send them there? If you were, I took your word. You said you were going to help me. Why didn't you do it? I was waiting 2 months for this DA to send me something in the mail.
The complaints went to the police
You're
department.
not doing your job. So what's your excuse? Why didn't you send it there?
They went to the police department, Erica.
No, the one goes to the district justice to go to the DA.
They take it there.
No, they don't. You take it to the district justice. You file a private complaint, you take it to the district justice, they send it to the DA. The DA makes a decision. It takes about 6 to 8 weeks. So why did they go to the police station? Why did they go to the district justice?
They take them over there.
Private complaint goes to the district justice.
I know. I helped you fill those out.
I
I
studied
know.
criminal law management. I got a master's degree. I know how that works.
I know you have a lot of
So what's
experience
your
with it.
excuse? And then you never returned any of my calls.
You don't leave your number.
And I'm disabled, and your police are bullying me. And my son is a good citizen of this. He don't get in trouble. He has a job. He graduated. And he's getting called nigger because somebody has a racist flag on the corner of my house, and they're calling him a nigger and telling me to paint myself black. That's not right. Why didn't they get charged for racial slurs? Then they're sitting there with cameras every time I go in and out of my house, just to go in my car to go somewhere or mow my lawn. These neighbors are sitting there with cameras, y'all, just watching me. So what's going to be done? I lost 50 pounds because of all this stress. I have no food in my house because I'm paying you people for citations. And I ain't even home and I get citations in the mail. So they're targeting me. I want something done. I talked to the American Civil Liberties Union. I filed a complaint. I went to the DA. She called me back. She's looking into it about all the complaints. What can you do for me, Mrs. Claire? I took your word. You said you were going to help me.
I know.
Why didn't you send it over to the district justice? I could have did that. I even told you that day.
Like
I'm
I said,
right
I
here.
did take it to the
I
police
know the
department.
procedure.
I'll follow up, Erica, and I'll ask the police department and see what those are
Why
at.
would you take them to the police department when you're supposed to drop the
They
private
were-
complaint off for Stephen Witt over at the district justice? When you file a complaint against the police, you drop it over there, not a private complaint over
Those
there.
were the 2 that you did. Remember, they were
I got
about the
I got
police
every
department.
copy. The
Good.
DA
Yeah, I made you the
questioned
copies.
The DA questioned
Okay.
that.
Okay.
She said she never sent it to the district justice. That's why we didn't receive it.
Well, I'll have to look into that and see where
That's
that
how
is.
a private complaint goes.
Okay.
You send it to the district justice. Why'd you tell me you were going to do that if you, why'd you lie? And people vote for you? My son don't even like you no more.
Okay.
You were his teacher.
Yes, I was.
He said
And
he
your
has
son is
different
a very
feelings
good person.
about you now.
Okay.
Yeah, so what are you guys going to do for me? I've been complaining. I called you guys last
Ma'am, you have the ability to
Nobody
submit,
ever
excuse
called
me,
back.
ma'am.
Nobody ever called
Ma'am,
me back.
ma'am,
It's
will you
like
listen?
you're ignoring the situation.
Ma'am, will you
Just
listen
like
for a
the
second?
cat.
You have the ability to submit your complaint to the district justice, correct?
I didn't know that until the district justice told me. They
Well,
didn't
have you
tell me.
followed up
The
and,
DA
have you followed up and
the
done that,
district
ma'am?
justice didn't
Ma'am,
tell
have you
me.
followed up and done that?
Okay, why am I getting overcharged by these police? I could be driving my son to...
Ma'am, have you followed up and submitted your
They're right
complaints to the
behind my
district
car.
justice?
They're right behind my car. I have a driver's license. I have insurance. Why are they following me? Why are they following? Why are they sitting in front of my house?
Ma'am, have you submitted
Why
your
are
complaint to the
police
district
officers sitting
justice?
in front of my house?
Have you submitted your complaint to the district
I
justice?
filed complaints. I'm going to the news. I talked to Mr. Snow, too. I want these neighbors to be charged the same as I am. They have a racist flag, and they said they're white supremacy. Right to my son and his friends. And they're all black. That offends black people. Do you know what that flag means? What's that flag mean?
Ma'am,
What stuff
Did you,
like me?
did you submit your
What stuff
complaint
like me?
to the district justice as
I want something
required?
done with your police coming by my house harassing me. What can you do for me? This is, you guys are the supervisors.
Okay, Ms. McAllister, you have exceeded your
Because if I
5-minute
have a
limit.
heart attack, I'm suing somebody.
Your time is over. Thank you.
Okay,
Point
okay.
taken. Thank you.
All right, I didn't think they'd do that. Now I can go back to American civil liberties.
Is there anyone else wishing to address the board?
Brother, you say, no,
Mr. Umpleby?
brother, you say. They don't do nothing. How do you get out of here? They lock you in there too? Okay.
My name is Robert Umpleby. I live at 2916 Broadlawn Drive. As I'm sure by now you are all aware. 6 weeks ago, I stood here and requested that you supervisors review all aspects of our zoning case and reconsider the denial of the return of the $1,000 fee paid to go before the zoning hearing board. I asked for a timely and personal response. So much for a timely response, as I have yet to receive any response at all. 2 weeks ago, my son Michael stood here and made an impassioned plea again, not only for the refund, but also for an apology for all the injustice my wife had and I had to endure in the past year and a half. Again, no response from the supervisors. No response is unacceptable. Your silence is deafening. It screams of indifference and a complete lack of empathy for all that my wife and had to endure in this situation. Why can my wife and I not get a response from you supervisors? Is no response of your own volition, or is someone advising you to stay quiet? My personal opinion is you're being told by your solicitor not to make comment. In that case, maybe you need to get a different advisor. There is another matter that I would like to bring to your attention, which is similar to our situation. On June 29th of this year, a homeowner went before the zoning hearing board requesting a variance for an open porch, which would encroach on a recorded building line. First of all, the homeowner only had to put up $500, not $1,000. Secondly, there was no litigation required, as my wife and I were subjected to. The township solicitors weren't even present. Mr. Puz was so adamant in our hearing that no structure could be constructed beyond a recorded building line. But during this hearing on the 29th, when asked if the township had any position on allowing the open porch, he responded, "Not at this time." Needless to say, the variance was granted. And this is after the township amended the open porch ordinance, adding the sentence, and I quote, "At no time is an open porch permitted beyond the building line shown on the recorded plat for the property if one exists." So it appears to me either there was bias against us at the zoning hearing board meeting, or now the township realizes their adjudication in our case was in error. I would like to end this whole affair right now. So I'd like to ask each one of you, and I know you're not required to respond, but Mrs. Clear, you've been a part of this administration for more than a half a year. You have made you have had ample time to familiarize yourself with this matter. Do you believe the $1,000 should be refunded? How about you, Mr. Bach? In the past, you have indicated that you like to do the right thing. Is returning the $1,000 the right thing to do? Mr. Olet? Other than telling my wife on June 14th that we would get a response, which we did not get, you have had no comment. What are your thoughts concerning this matter? I guess at this point, your silence is noted. Good evening.
Mr. Umpleby, just so you know, in terms of that other case, that was a situation.
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
In terms of that other case, that was a situation where the homeowners association signed off on that, thereby effectively adjusting the building line. Which, if you recall, that was one of the options we had discussed with you, but unfortunately, your subdivision did not have a homeowners association. So that there was a difference there. Just so you know, I mean, it wasn't arbitrary.
The bottom line is you ignored the plain language of the zoning regulation when we applied for our building permit. And that error was confirmed by Judge John J. Mead. And that is why we're still adamant in getting the $1,000 returned, because we never should have went before the board in the first place. And it was your error that caused it all. Good evening.
And we disagree, respectfully.
You disagree with the court of law, Mr. Shaw?
We disagree with the opinion. Opinions differ.
Is there anyone else wishing to address the board? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, our meeting's adjourned.